And today we're on Colossians 3:13, which we'll put up on the screen here. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. Forgiving others is quite a continual theme in the New Testament, in case you haven't noticed. So what is this word forgive, especially as it relates to forgiving others? Well, I decided, okay, I'll look up the original Greek, and the word forgive, again, in terms of forgiving people who've hurt you, is the word karitzohami. I'm sure you're really impressed with that. Like, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. It looks like it. Karitzohami, and it means to grant a favor of kindness, to pardon, to rescue, to deliver, to freely grant forgiveness. All that's wrapped up in that one word, karitzohami. So in other words, when we obey God's command to forgive others who have hurt us, we make a decision to extend undeserved kindness. Undeserved kindness. It's undeserved. They don't deserve it. But we make a decision to extend undeserved kindness. And this is completely different than what the world does, isn't it? As I was praying about this command, I felt like God really illuminated this whole thing of forgiveness. The enemy is trying to destroy your relationships. He's trying to destroy your relationships by getting people to betray you or wound you in some way. And the enemy is trying to oppress you and provoke you into being this angry, bitter woman over those wounds of others, right? Trying to get you to take the bait. He provokes these other people to do things that wound you, and he's provoking you to try to take the bait and become this bitter, resentful, angry woman who is also a lousy ambassador for Christ, as we are all shriveled up with our bitterness, right? But you completely take the wind out of Satan's sails when you turn around and you give grace and you give unmerited kindness to that person. It's like Satan's like, what? Didn't see that coming? Drat. I don't know if he says drat, but probably something harsher than that. But did you see how it just like takes the wind right out of his sails? When you choose to graciously release your offender from your condemnation and the desire to make them suffer for what they did, the relationship that Satan thought he was going to destroy, it has a chance to actually be reconciled. And he's like, double drat. I was trying to provoke this person to sin against her. I was trying to provoke her to be this angry, shriveled up, bitter woman. And then, what? She extends this unmerited kindness and this gracious forgiveness and this relationship, this marriage perhaps that I thought I was going to destroy. She's leaving the door open for reconciliation. Drat and double drat. When you extend undeserved forgiveness, your offender is often deeply moved by your unmerited kindness, and that person is much more likely to be attracted to Christ. And Satan's like, triple drat! Now, this person that was the offender that did the bad thing is actually kind of like wowed by this woman extending this unmerited grace, and he's maybe now starting to be attracted to this Christ that she's following, and it's like, double, triple, quadruple drat! My schemes are not working out so well. Do you get the drift here? Are you getting the drift? When you choose to stop bringing up the offense and stop waving it in the person who did the offense, and instead you actually do what is counterintuitive in that moment, and you speak life and encouragement to that person, which is, again, undeserved kindness, that person is much more likely to want to become a better person themselves. And then Satan is like completely, his game plan is completely thrown out the window now. Because now the relationship has the possibility of being restored, maybe even healthier than it ever was before. And this person that was the offender, who's been now extended this unmerited kindness, is now thinking like, wow, I kind of like this Christ that she follows. Look at what she does. She's so nice and kind. And then this person actually wants to be a better person because of the way that you have shown this unmerited kindness. So what does true forgiveness actually look like? God brought to mind 4 components. You release your offender into God's hands. You release your offender into God's hands and pray for God to work in that person's life. Now, I always think that I should be the one to work in that person's life. Anybody else? I will control the situation. I will manipulate this person into doing the right thing. And has that ever worked very well for anybody else? No, right? So I choose to release the person into God's hands and ask Him to be the one that works in that person's life. Secondly, and this is huge, you choose not to try to make that person suffer for what they've done. Have you ever felt like that? It's sometimes it's a very subconscious thing, but you're just like kind of hoping that grief will hit them and that things will go badly for them, and you just kind of want to make them suffer for what they've done. No. God says revenge is His, not ours. So we choose not to try to make that person suffer for what they've done. And then, more counterintuitive than that even, you speak and act with undeserved kindness toward your offender. You speak and act with undeserved kindness toward your offender. Let's look at it this way. When I mess up, and when you mess up, and I'm pretty sure we can all relate to that at some point, right? When we mess up, does God say, "You big, fat, stinking jerk"? No, He does not. So why do we think we should act that way when someone else, betrays us, lies to us, messes up in some way? Why do we think that we should call them out and call them vile names and make them feel about this high and call them lower than pond scum? I actually said that to someone once. That's pretty bad. Lower than pond scum. Probably not the best thing to say in that moment, right? But why do I think I should say that? Would God say that to me? "Debbie, you messed up. You're lower than pond scum." God would never say that. So why do we say those kinds of things to other people? Instead, we give them unexpected kindness. And then fourthly, you refuse to keep bringing up the offense and throwing it in the face of the offender. If this happened 2 years ago, or 7 years ago, or 12 years ago, or 30 years ago, you should not be continuing to bring it up anymore, right? Leave it in the past. These 4 things should really be our forgiveness checklist, right? Release to God. Release to God. Refuse to punish and try to make that person suffer. Extend undeserved kindness. And then stop bringing it up. Those 4 things. I also sense this one other thing regarding marriage specifically. An excellent marriage is made possible by 2 excellent forgivers. Right? An excellent marriage is made possible by 2 excellent forgivers. An unhappy marriage is made up of 2 bitter people who dwell on each other's wrongs. Right? Is this not correct? Duh, I just need to remember this myself. Forgive, don't dwell on the past, be an excellent forgiver. But before I go any further, I have to clarify that extending forgiveness doesn't mean that our emotional pain from the offense is going to be magically erased, because it's not. And it also doesn't eliminate the need for boundaries to protect ourselves, but it does mean this command to forgive. It does mean that we must let go of the quest to twist the knife and make them suffer for what they've done.